Okay. Something I just figured at least I would join the meeting. Get back and look like I didn't just want to get that way out of that. What a idiot.
Well, those are the, we do public works, they take off 4 months, no work.
All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and call our work session to order. Of course, you all know our work sessions are generally, pretty laid back. We will start off with I've already called us to order. I'm gonna do the opening prayer and then we'll have pledge of allegiance by Councilman Chris Brown. If you all would please stand for me. Dear Heavenly Father, we come today to say thank you. We thank you for the opportunity to serve. We ask you to continue to bless this city and this council. We ask you to lay a special blessing of healing on Councilor Keel as he is not with us today. We ask you to go into the hospital and take care of all those wants and needs. Ease his family's mind. We ask you to just heal him, Lord Jesus. Build him up where he's weak. Help him to come back to us whole again. We ask you to continue to take care of us. We ask you to continue to bless this administration. We thank you for this beautiful weather, even though it's gonna get colder tonight. We thank you for that as well. We ask you to lead our minds tonight. Allow us to not only do the job of the city, but to allow you to shine through us. These are our prayers we ask in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name I do pray. Amen.
Amen. Please recite with me the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank y'all so much. We will actually go now into new business discussion. And our next one would be, our first one is Gary Lawrence, R. Grade Crossing, 17th Street.
Good afternoon.
Turn that up, sorry.
It's on.
Is it on? Is that better?
There you go.
Gotcha.
Thank you for having me. I've discussed, been down here a few times with the mayor. And we are talking about 17th Street, the public crossing over Norfolk Southern's railroad tracks. I officially come tonight to just talk to you all about closing that public road. I think I saw on the agenda later on, there is the actual resolution that I've sent to the city to vote on and sign off on. So if that does go forward tonight, it comes with an incentive offer to close it. Once a resolution is signed and sealed and sent back to us, then that allows Norfolk Southern to cut that incentive check, and then all expenses by Norfolk Southern will remove the public crossing itself. I don't have an exact date for it. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but that would be all our internal forces doing the work at a future date. But when we do lock down a date, usually they give me a couple weeks heads notice. I'll let the mayor and everyone else know, just so you can be aware of any potential work happening around the railroad there.
Are y'all aware of Young's crossing we're talking about? Will make tire crossing. Also, he was talking to, we looked at Bibb Street again. I know y'all looked at it one time before. Close Bibb Street. We went up there and actually sat and watched school traffic crossing. And, it's a dangerous crossing. Right now, with a school bus, when a school bus pulls across the track, it's dead center of the track. If it's sitting there waiting to move, the traffic's got it held up. If a train's coming around the curve there coming from Dable Way, that's an upgrade. So the train's running hard coming up through there. There's about 500 feet from the curve, from where you would get line of sight, where the train could see a school bus on that crossing if you got stuck or something. That's not enough distance for that train to stop. So what we're worried about is it's never happened with a bus getting stuck there, say with a wreck behind it, a wreck in front of it or whatever, or it stalled out. But if it did, it would be an extremely dangerous situation. Do we head it off now, or do we wait and I know that the public opinion is against closing that because it's a school crossing, that everybody uses to go to the middle school. But something that they've asked us to consider, if we would look at, maybe we want to have a public hearing or something and, discuss it.
Well, I know everybody in my district, on that goes for my area, definitely not in favor of that. If the school bus is an issue, then the school board can say the word and tell their drivers not to cross that area. I mean, that is what it is. You know, that's very, very opinionated on that one. There's like, that when this was brought up 5, 6 years ago. And what's the purpose on closing 17th Street? There's the crossing that you're here tonight.
Correct, yeah, the purpose to close 17th Street is due to its relation to the next street down. I think it's Old Dark Road.
Old Dark Road.
We're following the FRA, Federal Railroad Administration, their basically consolidation program. So there's redundant crossings. We're kind of pushed by them to go forward and speak with cities, towns, counties, and see if there's any way we would kind of eliminate some of these redundant crossings. So when we talked, it was the understanding that if, you know, say one were to go, one were to stay, it would make more sense for 17th Street to be closed. And you would still have the Old Dark Road right there to connect you from one side to the other.
Yeah, getting back on the Fifth Street, I'd be against that as well, but it affects my district. I use that crossing all the time. It'd be inconvenience for me because I got to cross there a lot of times and I have to wait on that red line down the street. And I know you're talking about connection on 17th Street. Those roads do not connect, so you put somebody having to go all the way down the crossover, go farther down if you're going to Home Depot. If that crossing comes out right in front of Home Depot, then you have to go down and then backtrack all the way back up to 280 to get to Home Depot.
Is it something that had to be, decision needed to be made today? Is it something that could involve more discussion? From our end? I'm just trying to, I want to work with.
Yeah, I would say that's up to everyone. We can decide tonight, or we can come back at another time. But yeah, tonight's, the resolution that you have in front of you is just for 17th Street.
Coming off of Washington, right?
Yes.
On front of the old like fire building. Might have to clean that area up.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Number 2, Amadeus.
What I was gonna do is discuss with y'all, we've been waiting, over 19 months for them to purchase the buildings. You know, y'all passed a resolution saying that, they would have first shot at the buildings. And at the time, we thought we had a closing date within 30 days. And that got put off time and again, and, we've tried to see when they could come up and close on those buildings, and it hasn't happened. The state's devoid of, any type of industrial property right now on the state website. And I have a good feeling that I've been told by Denise Walls and by the people in Montgomery that if we can get those buildings out there, we have a good chance of finding a tenant, find somebody to buy them and do something with it. But, what we'd like to do is rescind the resolution at the next council meeting. This is just a discussion tonight, and potentially put those buildings out on the public, to the public for sale.
I wouldn't have issue with that, so they were getting the deal, getting number 9 of those 3 warehouses for that $675,000.
Like I said, we've been sitting here waiting for 19 months, and we can't get a closing date. We can't even solid closing date. Or any tenants or anything else, so we're just sitting here on it, waiting, and, that's what we would like to do.
We notified them that that's what
Yes,
the intention is.
yes. Now, I expected them to be here tonight, but
Last meeting, James was gonna say something, but he was, the last work session rather, and he was late, that's why I figured he'd be here as well.
well, they may show up, and, they may not realize it's a work session, they show up for the regular session, but anyway, they were notified. And I told them it was 4:30 for the work session, because they want to come and talk. That'll probably come before y'all, we want to talk about it first with you and see what your feelings were for it, and then we'll come to the next council meeting with a resolution.
I'd like to know what their thoughts are.
Mhm.
We'll go ahead and, anybody have any more questions about those buildings?
Yeah, I'd like to hear from them as well, just, I definitely want to do something with them. I'm with you, we don't need to leave things just sitting when we can take advantage of.
Well, like I said, it's been 19 months and we had a 30-day closing and it didn't happen. And then we had another 30-day closing. We've had 5 or 6 30-day closing. You know, we're gonna close next month, we're gonna close next month. And it's just never happened. And I'm just, you know, we're kind of tired of waiting. And we haven't had a closing date from them. We've asked, but we haven't got a closing date from them in 6 months. So we're just ready to move forward. If we put it out there on the state site, they've got just as much opportunity to purchase it as anybody else.
In most contracts that I deal with are 30 to 45 days, and so giving somebody 19 months is way longer than they should have been given.
Good, very time.
Number 3, Miss Amanda, you want to give us an update?
I emailed you all the update earlier. I do want to introduce Erin Courtney. He is also Amber Gordon. She works for Miss Romney in Finance. He is married to her how many years, Jen?
2 years.
He is our new code enforcement officer. And he is full-fledged, and he's still, APO certified, so he can handle business when he needs to. He's kind of what Steve Murray used to do when he was doing code enforcement. And he's completely doing code enforcement and rental inspections. He's gonna be working on those, and then we're just gonna go from there.
Okay.
So if you've got any questions, anything on code enforcement, Aaron's your guy to call.
I guess, Amanda, if you could send us,
His
give me
contact
his number, his contact info, because that's definitely something we get asked for.
A lot.
Comprehensive plan ongoing, actually meeting with consultants on site tomorrow. We were gonna go out and do some site visits, but I asked them, let's hold off on the site visits, ready to get down to business and start looking at some stuff that, so we can get amendments made and get some direction going with some of our regulations. They will be here probably half a day tomorrow. We'll be sitting down with them. Gateway to Lake Martin, we're working with the developer and the general contractor on permitting. Working all that through on their A, B, C, D, and E buildings, the downtown water lines. We got good information from our consultant, Terry Acuff, last week, that we're just waiting on the governor's signature. We're very optimistic about being awarded $500,000 for that project. Just waiting on her signature and the official order. Floodplain ordinance and administration, same as last time, update ordinance from 2011, this is a must. And working to get this to AJACA by Friday. Got the contacts there, so I will be bringing an ordinance for updating and approval at a later date. Chapter 18, Code of Alexander City. Miss Stephanie, as well as Jay, have been working on that, and there's a good bit that we have to remove. We still are, stating that like 1972 code or something like that, there's some stuff in there that's really old that's got to be removed. So we will be updating that and bringing that to you, and that will have to be published as well because it is ordinance and amending our code. Condemnation process. What we've decided to do with this, because our international property maintenance code allows the building official to go ahead and do that process and designate those as condemned houses. We're gonna take 20 houses, the worst of the worst, that are vacant, that people are not living in. We're gonna start there. There is budgeted money there for next year. Try to put it more after springtime maybe. We would like to do an RFP and itemize those houses so we get the best bang for our buck. So we will be bringing that to you later on. But there are some cleanup that we have to do in the chapter 18 when it comes to forms and things like that, based on that international property maintenance code. So if you've got any questions about this stuff, because we're going to be making some changes and bringing this up to you, please feel free to call me.
Now, the floodplain, will that map be updated, or is it just kind of a,
It's everything. Everything's got to be updated. The ordinance, the draft ordinance right now that I've been working on is 54 pages long.
You can run the old and the new with the paper.
I'm hoping, we're hoping just the new or just legislation will pass, but it's.
The electronic posting will come up back in the legislature and wow, we probably won't print this in spring. So we're gonna try and hedge ourselves and push it off to printing it.
They sent out a new model ordinance, they haven't updated the maps.
Is the ARPA funding, the additional $500,000, is that on top of what we already got?
The
That's just for
500,000
the, like the
CDBG,
Sims Road area.
yes, you'll have 500,000
Sims Street,
CDBG as well as this.
Sim Street, Green Street, around,
Around the church up there.
Jacob's Ladder, the retail downtown and things like that. That's how we're able to get the ARC funds, is because of all the retail. Mayor met with all the retailers down there, and they actually signed a supporting letter that we sent to ADECA for this, so that retail.
I think it was about $500,000 over bid.
we were, it was, we're at 1.2, 1.2, 1.1, 1.2. We modified it some, but with this 500,000, we can just about go back to the original model. We still modified it a little bit on the streets, but we're gonna make sure that we tie in the retail businesses, Piggly Wiggly, all the way down behind the strip, behind, Jake's, down through there, that street, the alley, replace all that. And then down Green Street, we're gonna get a good piece on Sim Street and down Houston Street. So that's what's looking like right
On the 20 homes, can we provide some input possibly?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
What we've done is we've got all the houses that we think are in funding, that they're content and follow that process that we work with ARPA on. So if you've got houses in your area, especially the ones that you know, no one's living there, when it comes to crime, when it comes to squatters, when it comes to people getting in there that don't need to be, safety, hygiene and everything, let us know. Aaron's also gonna be working with Jay on those, because the building official is the one that came out, picking them, but, what he's done in the past as police officer, as well as what he's gonna continue to be doing to enhance the community and clean those up, we'll be working very closely too. But if you've got any houses, let us know and we'll investigate. This is just, we have to start out small, and speaking of the CDBG that is funding for downtown water projects, we can use CDBG funds for Planet for Housing, where it does not go into the name of the property owner of the letter, and the city doesn't necessarily have to put so much up front. We've just got to shift how we're utilizing these grants. We cannot use CDBG funds for that until this is closed out for the downtown side.
That's what, okay. That was
So you'll be seeing some changes and stuff like that. We've been meeting with Caroline, I've been meeting and trying to figure out what the departments need, what the citizens need, and what grants to go after, and when to go after those based on timelines and things like that. What about everybody, any questions, Paul?
Thank you. At this time, we will entertain any other business coming before the council.
I'd like to kind of piggyback on something that Scott mentioned a couple weeks back.
Okay.
Instead of the utility director type deal, I know it's been talked about in the past with the city, and I do believe that we're big enough, and I know that we're growing enough where it'd be beneficial to start possibly a process of like a city manager type position. And since it's a council appointed position, I kind of feel like the council needs to be the one to do it. I know I've got lots of citizens that come up to me and I ask and say they just been mentioned and thrown around, but nothing ever, gets said or done. So I'm just kind of throwing it out there to the council, and whoever may be watching, in the audience to, look in and proceed with going forward with that type of setup.
Well, there are two positions. There's city manager and there's city supervisor. City manager is legislative act, which we have to go to legislative act. City supervisor can be done at the council level. And what I ran on that, and my campaign saying that I thought we needed a city supervisor until I got in here. And then I found out if the mayor works and actually does his job, we don't need one. It's population we're at right now. Yeah, if we had 30,000 people, I would have to have them, I guarantee you.
Well, in my kind of somewhat piggybacking on what Scott had brought up, it's if you happen to have a mayor that is elected, which, it's a popularity contest, that does not have the ability to do that. The whole time we've been on the council, I can't speak for everybody here. I know me personally, things that should have been done in the past or could have been done in the past that weren't, for whatever reason, I definitely will not like anybody who's ever sat in these chairs, because it's not near as easy as it appears from the audience or from television. But if you don't have somebody that has the ability, they might be really popular, and easy to get votes, but don't have the intelligence or drive. I mean, it takes, as you know, drive, a lot of drive and intelligence to be able to push through and do what has all been going on, you know, just in your term alone. So you can appreciate that. So I just think the city manager would help bridge gaps between elections. So like, even you're not gonna do this forever. You know what I mean? So there's no guarantee that anybody, whoever's next, whatever happens the next election cycle, that we're not guaranteed. You can't kick a mayor halfway out if he ends up being bad. Whereas if a city manager is not performing well or having issues, then it can be brought before the council and then their contract can be terminated.
The supervisor can.
Yeah, or even city manager. I mean, it can be brought up at any time, you know.
The city manager's a little tougher, but we've actually had this conversation.
But I don't mean, that's why I'm bringing it up now.
We've actually had this conversation within the staff.
Yeah.
Of the same exact thing, what if something happened to me,
Mhm.
you know, if I'm in a car wreck, whatever. And, we're working toward trying to square away the system to the point that if you got that incompetent individual in the mayor's chair, that they wouldn't be able to, mess up what we've accomplished to this point. They wouldn't be able to take us backwards.
Well, if something happens to the mayor, council president becomes
Right.
the person immediately.
Yeah, no, but that's, I'm saying.
Even, I mean, I would think even in the case of, if the mayor was in a serious accident, was gonna be out for 6 months, 2 years' time, you have to activate that as well, I think.
Right,
I read that.
and like I said, we're looking at that to assist whoever would take my place or whatever to try, and we're trying to set standards and put resolutions, ordinances in place so that it would be easier on somebody that has to take this job over.
I would say a lot of conventions I've been to and talked to other cities that went from mayor to city manager, they wish they hadn't done it.
I think that when you're talking about something like this, it's more about educating to the electorate and informing them as to what all that would entail. I think that to everybody's point, you have a city administrator, which would be a council created position funded by the council. City manager would be too, but not in terms of an appointment. If you're talking about city manager, then that's more of a, as it was mentioned, a legislative process. And so you would have to start that process pretty quickly to try to get the community informed enough to be able to make a decision on the November ballot. So if we're talking about the easiest route, it would be to create a city administrator position or something along those lines. That would be an easier route. It just would not be, it would change who was the top, I'm not, for lack of a better term, the top dog, but the city manager would then become the CEO of the city, whereas the administrator would still report to the mayor. So I think just educating the community would be beneficial, but I think in anything like that is worth the conversation. At least we'll have a better understanding of what we're dealing with either way, but city administrator would be something that could be council controlled if we were looking to go that way.
The other thing about the utility director is that was a created position to the council years ago to help offset the mayor's income. So then that's not a guarantee. That's an appointment by the council. So you could have a council come in and not appoint the mayor as that person. I mean, I'm not saying that would ever happen, but technically it could go that way. So this started when it came up about raising the pay of the mayor. Which me personally, I think it should, because it's a full-time job. And the mayor, I've never been around a corporation or a company that the owner, the man in charge didn't make the most money. That's not so around here. Mayors, there's a lot of people in the city that make more than Mayor Bear does or any mayor that sat here before. So to me, if we're going to eliminate the utility division, we need to make sure that we compensating the person that's sitting in that chair moving forward. It's not so much about who's sitting in these chairs today, it's these chairs down the road. In protecting, I mean, let's be honest, you get a group in here, we've had some groups in the past that didn't get along. Could very easily made that change and taken that conversation from that person. I just don't, I need to go to work every day and put it over my head.
Me too. Matter of fact, Dana Fuller makes more than I do.
There's a lot of people who do, sir.
But that, I didn't do it for the money, so.
No, but and as you move forward, you want to, you're trying to entice the best people to come forward and run for these positions. And, you know, post-average people, no offense to anybody that's ever sat in our mayor's position, but it's kind of set up for a retiree or somebody that doesn't need the income. Because most people aren't gonna go to work and do what that job entails on a daily basis for what that job pays. That's just my opinion.
My biggest thing is I would like for us to set up something to where there's continuity in between elections. Because I've talked to department heads in the past, and that has been an issue. Different agendas from different mayors. And, you know, the mayors have to learn the job, the department heads have to learn the mayors, and there's just a whole lot to it. And I spoke with Pell City. It was their city manager, he was their second. The first one was Buzz, but he had been there for several years. And because of no continuity, they were just sitting still. They were zero growing, and I don't know if you've been through Pell City, they're growing a tremendous amount from pulling in somebody to make sure that this stuff is managed through the process. And I think also, you know, if there's somebody in-house or that lives here that's qualified, or if you bring in somebody else, we can get some new ideas. Because you can look at the same stuff all the time and not see something, somebody with fresh eyes coming in, like Casey might have fresh eyes. New, not having been around here, it's not confined by this is the way it's always been type of deal.
Yeah, and I'm the devil's advocate because, the salary base here that, most of our tax revenue goes towards paying salaries, and then create another $125,000 minimum position, is going to put a heavier tax burden on our citizens and more strain of things that we cannot do, provide services to our community, because you're taking $125,000 minimum out of our budget to pay for each position.
But the more fluid you become and grow, and you fill in gaps, and then you've got to figure you don't miss stuff where the city can grow. Like, we've got a ton of stuff coming in these past few years. So, I mean, you can go both ways in that, because the more fluid, I mean, there's been so many processes just in Louis' 3 years, and I know in our 7 years, Amanda has done a lot of refining of processes and things that have not been going on that has made the whole working deal way more smooth.
But in turn, our finance director told us that next year is going to be tight. We're cutting back. We cut back what was available. If we had another $125,000 position, there's more things that got to be cut back out of the budget year.
Well, you go to a city manager position, and I know that requires legislation, but if that's the direction you're going, the mayor would become more part of the council position. You wouldn't have, the mayor's salary would be like the council, and you'd have 7 where you never have a gridlock vote. And, I mean, we had how many instances in the past 10 years that have been a 3-3 vote, dies on the floor, and that's the end of it. You would eliminate. I mean, if you went to a city manager, that's what you, the mayor position would be like the council president's position. I mean, it would be a day-to-day. When you have a city manager, most mayors aren't there.
I think the mayor, and I may be wrong, only has a vote if it's a population of under a certain amount.
Less than
The
12,000.
mayor here would not have a vote.
We're more than 12,000, it's less than 12.
Less
Less than 12 is when
There's
there's
15.
when the mayor would have a vote, less.
As far as the expenditure, what you're talking about the utility director, the city supervisor. You know, that's the two positions, both of those positions are $100,000 positions by themselves.
I think it's one, two, personally.
the city manager would take that role. I mean,
You know,
that salary would be put in there.
I think the word that we need to be using is, I mean, to me, the most faithful way to get a supervisor, not manager. Because like I said, manager is a legislative act. The supervisory position, the council supervises it. and takes care of it.
Just for the sake of conversation, I think you could support both because the superintendent utilities will be funded by the enterprise fund, which seems to be the most flush of the accounts that we have. So I think that that one will take care of itself. In terms of the city administrator, I do understand the concept of the salary and the potential burden on the taxpayer, but I think at some point, we're going to have to adjust our thinking as a community and understand that we're not, in population, we may be similar to other places, but because of the utilities that we provide, we're running a $55 to $60 million a year business. So I think that paying somebody the adequate salary, whatever that is, it's not what it is today. So we've already established it needs to be addressed. So to Chris's or Councilman Brown's point, it only existed to help increase that salary. So anyway, to not come across incoherent, I just want to make sure that people understand what we're talking about. So the purpose of what Councilman Eric Brown was saying is that we have experienced it ourselves. We had 3 different mayors in 4 years. So that causes a lot of confusion and restriction in terms of people within the city and then from a legislative body. So truthfully, the council has the authority to do whatever it wants to from a legislative standpoint. So that's where the decisions are made. Now the recommendation can come from the mayor. So the city manager ultimately, if we went to that route, I think it gives more credence to that position. As it stands today, council technically has the ability to make more impact than the mayor's office does. So I don't think that it matters either way, if it's a city administrator, city manager, or the current way they would have it as a mayor's office. The council ultimately is deciding what's taking place in conjunction with the direction and suggestions or recommendations from the administration, but it does not have to be taken. So whatever we choose to do, I think we can do.
Gary, you have a point you want to make?
Well, I just want to make sure you look at all the options. You know, you talk about management of the city. There's other options that you could do too. And you could literally take the utilities and put them under a board like Opelika, Silicaca, and other places, making it independent, take politics out of it. You don't want to do that because you don't have the pot of money to grab out of and put back into the city. But, you know, as you talked about a city manager, it is a legislative process. The mayor then becomes a city-wide elected council person. And he would have a vote in the city council. And that makes the job of the city manager, it's politicized because y'all are the ones going to appoint it. And it can change. You know, we talk about getting a new mayor every 4 years, and you got to do it. But city manager is going to be hopping on the next train that's paying them another $10,000. So you could be the same way you are now, you know, even if you went to a city manager.
Find somebody competent enough to run the job and understand the dynamics and the politics in Alexander City.
And I agree with totally about having somebody that makes it continuity because, you know, don't get me wrong, we can get them idiot to be mayor and have no clue what's going on about any way and just tear down everything that y'all have done in the last 5 or 6 years to build up the city back up the way it's got. So,
3 years.
you know, you need to look at the things that's happening.
On a slightly different, I did just want to say, I met with a couple of downtown, a couple of downtown business owners and talked to Shell West with Main Street, and we're going to work on creating a kind of a small business forum to be able to have some open dialogue where they interact with the council and are a little more open as it relates to some of the challenges that they're having and how we can be better partners and how they can be better partners with us and making sure that everybody's successful. I think that we take for granted a lot of times that we may see a post on Facebook or we may go eat somewhere and we think that somebody's doing really well, but in reality, that may not be the case. And so we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to be supportive of all of our businesses, but especially the heartbeat of our community. So just wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up, and as that progresses more, I will keep you guys abreast and make sure that you're able to attend any conversations that take place about anything that we can do to assist them.
Any other business?
question for, Mr. Lawrence. Again, with the railroad.
Yes.
Is this incentive payment, is that negotiable at all?
The center amount,
Yes.
possibly.
We got an imagination station, we're trying to build a playground for some kids. I'd like to see that pumped up, so we have some money to go towards that. So, North Southern be a good partner.
I have already discussed that with, the legislative representative from Norfolk Southern. This year, we missed the window on grants for this year. They gave us one last year, and the fire department used it on the, on Fire Station 1, but, we will be putting in after the first of the year, we'll be putting in the grant cycle for the next grant.
How much was that grant?
It's not, it was $5,000.
Yeah, I mean, if he has the authority to bump this up to 20,000 tonight, then he can get me on board.
On the resolution or also?
On the resolution,
On the resolution.
because right now it's at 15,000, so if you got the authority to bump it up to 20, then I'd get on board with putting money to build a new playground.
Okay. If that's the consensus, I think that we take that back internally.
Any other comments?
I don't know if y'all know or not, but, SL contributed another 15,000 to the, Imagination Station Friday. And it was, Steve Robinson, 100,000, 15,000 there, and we still got some heavy hitters we're trying to make contact with.
That 100,000 will have an agreement, the first meeting in January, you'll have an agreement on the agenda for the 100,000. The commission is looking to approve that, January the 8th, after you all approve it, then they'll approve it on the 8th.
I think Casey said, correct if I'm wrong, that gets us up to 260,000 of the 440 that we need.
Yeah, yeah. It's getting,
Am I, would I be all right if I ask Mr. Swinburne or Chris actually, for that matter, for an update on the planning commission?
It's gonna be during the regular meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I can, Mark, you wanna give it?
The what?
Scott was asking about a planning commission update. Would you like to kind of update what we've been going over?
I don't know, we've made several items that's come up, different people, different things. Except one that's on y'all's agenda today, to be backed up, we're trying to clarify, we don't want to get the people that's bought this property thinking that they might be able to build on it, and they can't. And so, and we're just keep moving through little things at a time, we're trying to make the image of the planning commission a little bit better. Keep people thinking that Elk City, all they want to do is stop business. Well, that ain't our idea, but what we're trying to do is make sure the businesses and buildings in Elk City meet what we want to have Elk City. We've set up some overlay projects that's been worked with by the city. They're really doing good. We got a committee working on that, which would, even though things are zoned a certain way, we've never told people how to build things, what we want it to look like. And so we're trying to work at that, and we're not saying you gotta make it look just like this. We want to give you an idea of some architectural design and buildings sitting in public right of ways, like 280, 63, 22, entrances and exits to the city. Just make it look a little better. Y'all got any questions?
Comments and questions?
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mark. Hearing nothing else come forward, need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Second.
Thank y'all. No matter what.
Hello.